Title: The Cookie Did Not Crumble. Tens of thousands of them were walking on foot after the lockdown caught them unawares. No land for the poor or for the freedom of speech, thought poet journalist Omar, who had to flee Assam when some of his Mia poets community shook up Assam with their protest poetry during the turbulent drawing up of the National Register for Citizens and Citizenship Amendment Act, where religion was being used overtly as a criteria for citizenship under the Indian law. Omar had hoped that amidst the communal clashes between Hindus and Muslims, when COVID was bringing the entire world to its knees, the shared misery would turn people humane, dilute communal hatred. But Hindu-Muslim riots broke out in northeast Delhi, where he was in hiding. To avoid detection, Omar joined Hindu migrants, who warmly accepted him as one of theirs. They had embarked on a 12-day journey from Delhi to Dhanbad on foot. Omar had planned to hitchhike past Bengal and into Assam. He would be home in time for Bihu, the seasonal festival of Assam. He felt worst for the migrant pregnant women, especially those who were getting widowed on the way and had to pick up the family's burden literally and figuratively on their head. Their rainbow was the rail track they followed to reach their pot of gold, their beloved home. One moonlit night, Omar was awake writing in his diary about a 10-year-old girl in his troop. While crossing a lone tea stall along the way, the newspaper wrapped around his potato fritter carried a heartwarming article of a bicycle thief. Omar had the habit of reading out loud. A paraplegic man chuckled when he overheard Omar reading and pointed to a girl and a cycle. Omar rewrote a published newspaper letter in his diary. Greetings, I'm taking your bicycle. If possible, please forgive me because I don't have any other means to travel. My father is handicapped and he cannot walk. Such heart-wrenching words that Omar assumed his body wasn't stopping its gentle rocking, till he realized it was a train that was charging its way onto the defunct rail tracks where he had been sitting. He flung himself as far from the rail track as possible, but 8 sleeping bodies had been ploughed through. Such a betrayal! There had been no trains to carry them home, and then this? Loud wails came from a young man who mumbled about how he had begged his reluctant pregnant wife to sleep on the rail tracks since she had not slept for a week, too scared of scorpions. Such was the irony. Inconsolable, this man tried to commit suicide twice but was restrained by fellow travelers. Next day, during a halt, the devastated man was sitting listlessly with a Parle-G biscuit packet, which two unkept looking but smiling siblings from a nearby village were distributing to everyone. Omar sat down next to him, pointed at the biscuit packet, and took out a dated newspaper article which had the familiar picture of Parle-G. Omar explained it was an article written by him some time back, reporting about the closure of a Mumbai Parle-G biscuit factory. The man thrust his Parle-G biscuit packet to Omar. He had more on his mind than discuss biscuits. Undeterred, Omar showed him the greasy newspaper of last day, which had been the wrapper of the oily potato fritter he had eaten. The newspaper article stated how Parle-G had made a staggering profit during lockdown, which had never been witnessed in the 80-year-old history of the biscuit. The man looked at him blankly. Omar said, "When everything seemed lost for Parle-G, how fortune changed. and now is the only business which is on the top while the rest are down. Today, you have lost everything, but tomorrow, you could be like Swadeshi Paleji, feeding others. You are going back to your village to harvest crops. Think, think of all the grains that will feed people. That man asked, Babu, what's Swadeshi? Omar explained the national struggle for freedom and how Mahatma Gandhi had asked India to boycott foreign products and only use Indian or Swadeshi items to show one's love for the country. And Paleji was eaten by anybody who loved and lived in India. Omar went on, do you know, this humble biscuit was the only food for the Indian soldiers after a huge war called World War II? Like us, the soldiers survived the bloodshed barefoot hinged on Paleji. His sacrifice, elevated to the stature of patriotic soldiers and freedom fighters, that man got up, started shouting, Swadeshi biscuit, Swadeshi biscuit, unable to pronounce biscuit the correct way. But he hardly cared as he waved his biscuit packet in the air, kicked off his sandals, and ran barefoot joyously towards the sunset. Omar picked up the man's sandals. The tag on it read, Made in China.